Hello students, today I am here with the second part of the chapter The Best Christmas Present in the World by Michael Morpurgo. So let's see what's new in this part. Let's recapitulate first. This story is related to the narrator of the story went to a junk shop and purchased a roll top desk which was in bad condition. You know children, the story was started when the narrator went to the junk shop and he noticed that there was a roll top desk, though it was not so costly, but it was in bad condition. So the author decided that he will repair it and then he brought it to home. After bringing it home, he started its repairing on Christmas Eve and found a letter in its drawer. When he was repairing it and he opened all the drawers of this roll top desk, he noticed that the last drawer was not opening easily. So he tried his brute force to open it and then it was opened. Then it was a matter of surprise for him that there was a secret drawer inside this large drawer, and there was a small tin box. In this small tin box there was a letter written by Jim McPherson to his wife Connie McPherson. Then he read the letter. It was from Jim McPherson to his wife Connie as written on the top. The address was written there of Dorset and Mrs. Jim McPherson. Then the narrator decided to give this letter to Jim's wife back. So let's see what was written in this letter. In the second part, we'll discuss about that. Now continue. So children, you can see that this is the second part and it starts with the letter. Jim McPherson is saying to his wife, "Dearest Connie." Connie was the name, or you can say Mr. Jim McPherson called his wife by the name Connie. I write to you in a much happier frame of mind because something wonderful has just happened that I must tell you about at once. Dearest Connie, I am very happy to say that when I was writing this letter, I was in a very happy mood. Do you know why? Because there was a good wonderful thing that was happened with me and I want to share this thing to you. It was the big surprise for me. We were all standing to in our trenches yesterday morning, Christmas morning. You know children that the letter was written on 26 December. That was the next day of Christmas, and it was the Christmas morning in this letter he was describing about. So they were all prepared to fight and they were in standing position in their trenches. Trenches is the hiding place for the soldiers. So by this word you can understand that this is the war story and Jim McPherson belonged to the army of some country. Then he describes the Christmas morning. It was crisp and quiet all about, as beautiful a morning as I have ever seen, as cold and frosty as a Christmas morning should be. So Connie, you can imagine that a Christmas morning is always a crisp and so cold and chilly morning. So it was the like that. It was also frosty and cold morning, and I have never experienced this type of morning. It was a very beautiful morning I have ever seen in my life. So, I should like to be able to tell you that we began it, but the truth I am ashamed to say is that Fritz began it. Though I was thinking of making peace, and I would feel proud if I would started that to make peace, but I am ashamed to say I am feeling sorry to accept that they started making peace. The Fritz, the German soldiers. Fritz is the word that is used for German soldiers, and they started making peace with us. First, someone saw a white flag waving from the trenches opposite. Then they were calling out to us from across no man's land, "Happy Christmas, Tommy! Happy Christmas!" Then one of us noticed that from the opposite trenches, from the opposite side, there was a German soldier who was waving a flag, white flag, that is the symbol of peace. And then they were calling us. to cross the no man's land. No man's land is the center part between the boundaries of two different countries, and they were calling us to cross the no man's land, and they were also wishing us happy Christmas. Tommy is the name given to the British soldiers. So they were wishing us happy Christmas. At that time we were very shocked by the behavior of German soldiers. When we had got over the surprise, some of us shouted back, "Same to you, Fritz, same to you." At that time we were shocked because we were prepared to fight, and we never expected this type of behavior from our enemy soldiers. But when some of us came out of a shock, then we also wished them the same. We also wished them the happy Christmas. I thought that would be that. We all did. Now, even I was thinking that after wishing the happy Christmas, we'll start the fight because it's just the end of this celebration by wishing only. But then suddenly one of them was up there in his grey coat and waving a white flag. "Don't shoot, lads!" someone shouted. At that time, I noticed that one German soldier in his grey uniform, in his grey coat, was shouting the other soldiers not to shoot, and the other soldiers also followed him, and no one did, and no one shoot at that time. Then there was another Fritz up on the parapet. Parapet means boundary, and another, "Keep your heads down." At that time, at the same time, I also noticed the other German soldier was also shouting towards us to keep our heads down. I was thinking, I told the man it's a trick, but it wasn't. I was thinking that it is the trick of German soldiers, but in reality it was not a trick. They were trying to make peace with us. One of the German was waving a bottle above his head. "It is Christmas Day, Tommy. We have schnapps, we have sauces, we meet you." Yes. By this time there were dozens of them walking towards us across no man's land, and not a rifle with them. Then I noticed, and all of us noticed, one of the German soldiers was waving a bottle above his head. He was trying to attract us towards him, and he was telling us that it's a Christmas day. "Tommy, it's a big day for us, and we have schnapps." Schnapps is the drink made out of grain, and sauces. Sauces is the food of meat. So we have all the things to enjoy. We have drinks, we have juice, we have food, and we want to meet you. We want to celebrate the Christmas with you. Do you know? And by this time, when he was saying this, I noticed that a number of soldiers were coming towards us by crossing no man's land, and as a matter of promise, they didn't have gun or rifle with them. Little Private Morris was first up. "Come on, boys, what were we waiting for?" Then the one person from their army, whose name was Little Private Morris, you can say, he was the first person who was telling to his soldiers, "Come fast, why are you making so late? There is not so much time for us to enjoy. Why are you wasting your time?" And then there was no stopping them. When he said that, after that, no one was stopping. They were coming fast. I was the officer. As I was the senior officer in the army, so I should have stopped them there and then, I suppose. But the truth is that it never even occurred to me I should. At that time, though I was a senior officer, I could stop them by doing this. But the matter of fact was that I was also enjoying that moment. It was a great moment for me, so I didn't want to spoil their fun. All along their line and ours, I could see men walking slowly towards one another, grey greatcoats, khaki coats meeting in the middle. It was the precious moment in the war front. I was watching the peace they were making, and I could watch the grey uniform means the German soldiers and khaki uniform means British soldiers were mingling with each other. They were enjoying with each other, and I was one of them. They were enjoying and I was watching them, and I was feeling proud at that time that I was also one of them. I was part of this. In the middle of the war we were making peace, and it was a wonderful moment. You can also imagine that in the war front. Can you imagine peace? So it was a great moment for Jim McPherson that he was watching the peace that they were making between two countries. You cannot imagine, dearest Connie, my feelings as I looked into the eyes of the fridge officer who approached me, hand outstretched, Hans Wolf. He said, gripping my hand, warmly holding it. And dearest Connie, I can't express my feelings at how great I was feeling when the fridge officer came towards me, and he warmly welcomed me by holding my hands in his hand, and he also introduced himself that he was Hans Wolf from I am from Düsseldorf. I play the cello in the orchestra. Happy Christmas. And he said that after holding my hands, he introduced himself that he was Hans Wolf and he was from Düsseldorf. And before coming in the army, before joining the army, he was used to play the musical instrument that is called cello in the orchestra. And he also wished me happy Christmas. So, Captain Jim McPherson, I replied, and a happy Christmas to you too. I am a school teacher from Dorset in the west of England. So when Hans Wolf introduced himself, it was my turn. So I introduced myself by saying that I am Captain Jim McPherson from British Army, and I also wishing you the same, the happy Christmas. And before joining the army, I was a school teacher in Dorset, that is situated in the west of England. Ah, Dorset, he smiled. I know this place. I know it very well. When he listened about Dorset that I belong to, then he was very excited, and he said that I know this place. I am very familiar with this place, and I know about this very well. Then we shared my rum ration and his excellent sauces, and after introducing ourselves, then we also shared my rum ration. All the bottles were now empty because we shared them, and his excellent sauces, his delicious sauces, I liked this very much. And we talked, Connie, how we talked. And do you know, Connie, how we talked? He spoke almost perfect English. You will be surprised to listen that he was though he belonged to Germany, but he was talking in a fluent English. But it turned out that he had never set foot in Dorset, never even been to England. After talking with him, it was discovered that he never went to England, never went to Dorset. Then how did he know about Dorset? Let's know. He had learned all he knew of England from school and from reading books in English. His favorite writer was Thomas Hardy. His famous book was Far from the Madding Crowd. So, all the things that he learned about Dorset and England was a result of reading books in English in his school. So, his favorite writer was Thomas Hardy. His famous book was Far from the Madding Crowd. Thomas Hardy was the famous English writer and novelist, and Far from the Madding Crowd is one of his famous novels. So, out there in no man's land, we talked of Bathsheba and Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy and Dorset. So, can you imagine, Connie? At the war front, we were talking about the characters of the novel of Far from the Madding Crowd, like Bathsheba and Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy and Dorset. That is our living place. As I looked about me, there were huddles of khaki and grey everywhere, all over no man's land, smoking, laughing, drinking, eating. as it was a question of me, though I was listening him very carefully, but even I was watching the war front. There were huddles, there were numerous khaki soldiers and grey soldiers, means there were numerous British soldiers and German soldiers everywhere. Wherever I could see, they were there across the no man's land, and they were enjoying with each other by smoking, by eating, by drinking, by laughing and making fun at all. They were enjoying so much this moment. Hans Wolf and I shared what was left of your wonderful Christmas cake, Connie. And you know, Connie, we also shared the cake on this Christmas day. And he thought the marzipan was the best he had ever tasted. Marzipan is the sweet covering of the cake, and at that time Hans Wolf said to me that the sweet covering of this cake was very delicious, and it was very delicious that he ever tasted in his life. And then I agreed. Actually, we agreed about everything, and he was my enemy. You know, Connie, though he was from the enemy's side, but even we were all agreed with the same thing. There never was a Christmas party like it, Connie. And you know, Connie, it was the best Christmas celebration for me. I can't forget this moment. Then someone, I don't know who, brought out a football. Greatcoats were dumped in piles to make goalposts, and the next thing we knew, it was Tommy against Fritz out in the middle of no man's land. Then it was a matter of surprise for you also, Connie, that someone from the Fritz soldier or from the British soldiers, I don't know who was he, but he brought out a football. And now what was happened, all the soldiers removed their uniform and they dumped in it in heaps so that they can make goalposts with them. And now we knew that what was going to be happened, there would be a football match between the German soldiers and the British soldiers, or we can say between Tommy and Fritz. Now Hans Wolf and I looked on and cheered, clapping our hands and stamping our feet to keep out the cold as much as anything. Now, me and Hans Wolf were only watching them, and we were trying to motivate them to play and enjoy. We were watching them carefully, we were cheering up them by clapping our hands and by jumping and stamping our foot so that we can also get rid of cold, and we can also feel excitement in their hearts. Then there was a moment when I noticed our breaths mingling in the air between us. This was the precious moment for us and me also, as it was a great moment when I was feeling that our breaths were mixing up in the air. It was a very good moment. I can't express, Connie. I was so happy at that time. He saw it too and smiled. Jim Macpherson, he said after a while, I think this is how we should resolve this war. And Hans Wolf was watching me, and he said, Jim Macpherson, I think that the war should be resolved in this way. It would be a better way to end this war. A football match. No one dies in a football match. No children are. Now a football match is a better way or a better solution of this war, because there will be no death in the football match. In this way, no children are orphaned, no wives become widows. So because in the football match there will be no death, and in this way no child will become orphan, no child will lose his father, and no wife will lose her husband. So in this way it would be a better solution for us to resolve this war. Now I told him I'd prefer cricket, than we Tommies could be sure of winning probably. We laughed at that, and together we watched the game. Then I also passed a joke by saying that if you are saying so that a football match is the better solution, then I would prefer, because I like cricket, because we Britishers are very perfect in playing cricket. So if you play cricket, then I am assuring you that we would surely win. Then we laughed at that thing, and it is the thing. It is the I am feeling sad to say, Connie, that Fritz won 2 goals to 1, and in this match the winner was a German army, as we didn't know about so much about the football rules. But as Hans Wolf generously said, our goal was wider than theirs, so it was not quite fair, because the Hans Wolf also told me that their goals were not so wider like us. So I don't think that it was a quite fair result. In this picture you can also see that the soldiers are enjoying playing football in the khaki uniform. These are the British soldiers, and in the grey uniform these are the German soldiers. So they are enjoying on the Christmas day. They are making a great celebration of Christmas, you can see here. So at that time I was not thinking about the results of the match. I was only thinking about the joy that we shared together. The time came, and all too soon, when the game was finished. The schnapps and the rum and the sauces had long since run out, and we knew it was all over. Now the game was ended, and with the ending of game all the drinks, juices and meat was also finished. We knew very well that now the Christmas celebration was over. So uh, I wished Hans well and told him I hoped he would see his family soon, that the fighting would end and we could all go home. So at the end, I wished Hans Wolf by saying that I hoped that he would meet his family soon after this war, because he was so excited to meet his wife and his 6-month-old son. Then we all will be able to go our home and enjoy with our family members. I think that is what every soldier wants on both sides, Hanswell said. Take care, Jim Macpherson. I knew that this was a keen desire in the heart of each soldier. Then Hans Wolf told me, "Goodbye, take care." This was an unforgettable moment for both of us. "I shall never forget this moment, nor you." He saluted and walked away from me slowly, unwillingly, I felt. And at that time, when he was telling me goodbye, then he saluted me, and he was not willing to go from there, but from the next day it was the beginning of war again, so he has to go from there. So unwillingly he went away, and he saluted me, and he also told me that he felt very pleased to meet with me. And after going ahead, he turned to wave just once, and then became one of the hundreds of grey coated men drifting back towards their trenches. Then he saluted me, and we saluted each other. He went from there, though he didn't want to go. I knew he wanted to spend more time with me. Then after going, he waved at me once. Then he was mixed in the numerous German soldiers who were going towards their trenches. That night, back in our dugouts, we heard them singing a carol, and singing it quite beautifully. At the same night, when we came back in our shelter home, or trenches we can say, we listened that they were singing a song of joy very beautifully in their group. As there was silence everywhere, so our soldiers also shared their joy by singing a song. Our voice gave them a rousing chorus of While Shepherd Watched. Our army soldiers also replied them by singing in a group, by singing in a chorus, and the lyrics of the song were like, "While shepherds watched." We exchanged carols for a while, and then we all fell silent. For some time we continued singing together, but after some time we became silent. This was a very precious time for us. We had had our time of peace and goodwill, a time I'll treasure as I live. There was peace all around, and we all were wishing for the good or well being of each other. I will never forget this moment in my life. This was one of the most valuable moments of my life. Now, at the end, Jim says to his wife, "Dearest Connie, by Christmas time next year, this war will be nothing but a distant and terrible memory." Jim again tells Connie that "I am sure that the war will be ended very soon and next year we'll celebrate Christmas together. Then this war will be only a horrible memory for us, nothing else." Then he says that "I know from all that happened today how much both armies long for peace. We shall be together again soon, I am sure of it. Your loving Jim." And when I interacted other soldiers today, I realized that both the armies wished for the peace only, because in the war there is a lot of destruction in the countries. So I assure you that as the war ends, I would come soon to meet you. I am also missing you very much, and when I'll come home back, we'll enjoy a precious time together. Your loving Jim. So this is the part second, in which the army person, Jim McPherson, sharing his memories of Christmas Day with his wife. And he also describes about the wonderful moment when the enemy soldiers were coming towards them to make peace. They enjoy the day very beautifully. They sang together, they laughed together, they made fun with each other, they shared their things like rum, sauces, and schnapps, and whatever. So this was a very precious moments for him, and he will never forget this day, and that's why he want to tell everything when he returned home to his wife, and he is waiting for the day when he will come back home. So this is all about in the part second. Hope that this part is clear to you, children. Now we come to comprehension check questions like: who had written the letter to whom and when? Why was the letter written? What was the wonderful thing that had happened? What jobs did Hans Wolf and Jim McPherson have when they were not soldiers? Had Hans Wolf ever been to Dorset? Why did he say he knew it? Do you think Jim McPherson came back from the war? How do you know this? So these are the 5 questions that you have to answer. I hope that you will answer them easily. Thank you, children.